think I say this about every age, but I really mean it. 2-year-olds, oh my gosh, it just does not get any cuter. I'm actually gonna start crying right now because I just love 2 and I wish I had another 2-year-old in my life. So you are so lucky and also probably feeling so challenged as a parent, and we want to be here for you throughout this whole experience. The 2s, I want to go through the play guide because we've talked about the stages of this beginning 2 from the 25th to the 27th month, and you might relate to some of these milestones. So motor skills, we go through motor skills, social emotional development, communication and language, independence and identity. So at 25 to 27 months, your child may alternate between clinginess and wanting to be independent. It's just like they're between 2 worlds. They're like, they want to be cuddled and held like a baby, but they're feeling like their newfound independence. And it's just such a dance for us all as parents. We talk about what your child may want to do. They're using language to, they're starting to use more language to express themselves, and your child may like to be in charge. Your child also might like to be naked. This is from like child development research. Like, it's just something that, you know, we experience as parents, but it's just so sweet to kind of see it in writing. So congratulations on your 2-year-old. This is a big stage. So we have included everything that you need for this age to develop their fine motor skills, their cognitive skills, and numeracy, and so much is happening in their little brains right now. We have a progression of puzzles. So I always found it really hard to know what puzzle to introduce when, and like what are the stages of spatial understanding. And so this is our 2-sided puzzle, and the shapes actually make 2 different pictures. So your child is growing in their awareness and understanding that the same shape can actually be inserted in different ways. And this is a really fun puzzle and a little bit tricky. So I think took me a bit to master. Look at me, see, I'm struggling with it. So I think it'll be a perfect challenge for your 2-year-old. And so we have the little boat and the fish, and so it makes 2 different pictures with the same shapes. So this is really kind of like an advancement in their spatial understanding and geometry. Flower arranging is a classic in the Montessori classroom education, and we wanted to connect it to counting. And so this is a really fun way for your toddler to practice, for your child to practice fine motor skills. So putting these flowers in these holes takes precision, fine motor precision. And then it's a really fun tool for you to play games with them. So I would love it if you could give me 1 flower. I'm going to give you 2 flowers. Let's put 2 flowers in the base. So this is just a really kind of like joyful way to engage with numeracy and their understanding of that the number 1 means 1 object. This is our super sustainable sink. So it's a struggle. Plastic is a part of our lives, and for sure we need to be fighting single-use plastic, and plastic is sort of one of those things that, like plastic toys, sometimes have their use, especially when you're engaging with water. Water play is really important for sensory exploration for your babies. So they're understanding how the properties of water, it flows, and how it can be contained, and how it can be cold or wet, and what it does when it splashes. So we have made this sink super sustainable because it's made with over 54% bio-based materials. So that means it's sugarcane. So it's made of 54% sugarcane. And the reason why that's important from an environmental standpoint is that you are sucking all of this carbon out of the atmosphere when you're growing sugarcane. It grows really quickly, it's a renewable resource, and is actually combating climate change through the growth of this plant. And so we've been able to work with our manufacturer and make this sink out of that bio-based material. And we're continuing to actually increase the percentage of bio-based material that we have in the total as we make more of these. So thank you for your support. So this sink is also sustainable because it runs water and it recirculates water. So children love, again, to play with water. It's such a rich sensory experience, and this is hours of entertainment. And the benefit is that they're not teetering up in your sink. It's really hard for them often to reach down into your sink and turn on and off the faucet. And then when I've been playing with my children with water, you know, the water is just going down the drain, and you want them to have the sensory experience, but you're kind of struggling with the wasted water. So this is a great way to feel great about it all. Routines are so important for them to actually understand sequence and what comes first, next, and then last. And it's also really helpful at times when they start to assert their independence at 2 and start to struggle with bedtime and start to struggle with certain things and resist and express themselves. You can actually set them up for success by establishing routines and giving them a visual to understand their routine. So bedtime, for example, brushing teeth. So you can put these little cards in their room, you can tape them up in the bathroom, wherever you feel comfortable. But let's say the bedtime routine is, you know, taking a bath, brushing teeth, putting their pajamas on, reading a book, going potty, going to sleep. So this is just, you know, changing diaper. These cards are a great way to kind of help them make sense visually of the routines that are in their life. And then we have these really cool, they're called paint sticks, and they're not paint. They're actually dry really quickly, but they make this awesome mark on paper. This is actually this material is used in child development classrooms at Bank Street College of Education. This is where we learned about this, and these are really fun because they make this really bright mark, but they are not messy. So it's not coming off of my hands, it dries really quickly. These are just kind of like the perfect art material for this age. So they're also practicing their fine motor skills, putting these caps on and then color matching them back into the case. This is our counting book called Making Muffins, and baking is such a fun way to learn numeracy and really practice practical life around numbers and filling things up and understanding pouring and mixing. And so we have this really sweet book that talks about counting, and it's a lift to the flat book, and they can know that 3, for example, there are 3 eggs in the beginning to roll and 3 scoops of sugar, and they can count with you as you read this book. Research shows that if you incorporate counting and numeracy into your everyday life, like reading and baking, that can be really helpful for their math learning later on. And this is one of my favorites in the box. So children love to manipulate this slider, and they love to be able to work their fine motor skills to put the coins into these slots. So this is also a practice in color matching. So color matching is really something that they're going to want to practice over and over again around this age. And so this is a really fun, engaging way to play the game. You can also start to work their taking turn skills. So you might put 1 coin in the slot and then have your 2-year-old put the coin in the slot next. And so practice that waiting. They can practice waiting for you to take the turn, and then you can show them kind of, which is the precursor to sharing, so the beginning of that social emotional development and self-regulation skills. So again, enjoy. I really wish I could just orchestrate my life to always have a 2-year-old in my life, because it is just the most precious age.